Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's a popular vacation spot in the Midwest, but in the motorsport world, this lush green locale means big speed at America's National Park of Speed, Road America. This track boasts the wonderful features of yesteryear's courses as it offers the ultimate challenge to today's athletes. There is simply nothing like it in North America. We're ready to go here at Road America.
700 horsepower, it just spun up on him and turned him around.
Awesome performance yet again from Scott Dixon.
Race winner, congrats.
Alex Palou has won at Road America.
Joseph Newgarden has done it at Road America. Cars on track. We are not too far away from the start of racing here in the 8th round of the series in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Road America. Let's take you right now, though, to the Sonsio starting grid. And you see the front man there, the NTTP1 award winner, the pole position to Colton Herta, 10th time in his career. He's had an amazing record at this track. This is his 6th start, and 4 of them have been from the front row.
Yeah, look all the way back there to row 10. You've got 2 Frenchmen with Romain Grosjean frustrated with the qualifying results. Simon Pagenaud, former champion, looking to make some moves. Meanwhile, let's go back to the 4th place starting driver, Joseph Newgarden, see if we can get him on the radio. Hey, Joe New, it's Townsend in the NBC booth. You got me?
Hey, copy. A little staticky. I think I got Stevie asking about me, but yeah, it could be a tough day. You know, feeling really good about this CPG car with Team Chevy. A lot of questions going into it with tires. I think we've, put our best foot forward, but ready to go to fight with these guys, and hopefully we can have a clean day.
All right, well, good luck to you. We're looking for some big moves.
We know how well he performs here. All right, Hinch, let's go to the Honda track preview. Talk us around.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about it at the top of the show. This is an absolute favorite for drivers, and it's easy to see why. 14 turns, a little over 4 miles, longest track that we have on the calendar riding on board here with Graham Rahal. That's up through turn 6. This flat-out kink in qualifying turn 7. But obviously the hot points here, brake zone into turn 5, great passing opportunity. Brake zone into Canada corner, turn 12, great passing opportunity. And then where Graham's coming up to right now, Townsend, this is the carousel. This one corner is 1/3 of a mile long. That's an incredible length of time for the drivers to be under G-load, for the tires to be stressed. That's longer than an entire NHRA drag race.
Yeah, and over 10 miles an hour faster minimum speed than it was last year. Tons of grip available today with that new pavement. Thanks to Honda for the track preview. But we'll be watching this front row diff. Herta and O'Ward, young, fast hands, huge aggression.
So you bring up a great point. Extra grip, higher speed. What about the physical toll? What about falling out of the seat, as drivers like to say? Who's going to be physically fit enough for this new challenge?
No, we don't know. Nobody's done more than about 8 laps consecutively this weekend because of red flags and focus on qualifying setup. A lot of answers to play out here over the next 55 laps.
By the way, championship leader sitting on that 2nd row in the blue and white cup, the American Legion Honda. Indy 500 winner flanks him and Joseph Newgarden. But 2 of the youngest stars of IndyCar make up this front row. This race is going to be special. By the way, the papaya, the orange and light blue car back on the 3rd row, that's Alexander Rossi. You better keep an eye on him as well. This is the Sonsio Grand Prix here at Road America, and Colton Herta is doing a great job at controlling the pace of this field. Ready to go racing. Let's go. Herta lights it up. Newgarden pulls out. Here comes Palou on the inside.
Watching Palou and O'Ward in row 2 there, side by side. Palou will have the advantage. Does O'Ward try to hang on and ride the outside?
He told Kevin Lee, I just got to hang in there. I just got to hang in there. There's
Kirkwood.
a spinner. Kirkwood around.
No grip on the outside of turn 1, and Kirkwood just learned that lesson.
They're going to leave it green for now, let some of this racing play out. Lots of side-by-side action. We've heard the drivers talk about how bad it is offline. Let's see what happens with this huge draft down to turn 5. That's Santino Ferrucci, I think, getting forced off the track.
He was looking to make a move on Felix Rosenquist, I believe, or was that Pato Award? That was Pato Award that got shuffled all the way back to 6th.
And how about Devlin DiFrancesco moving his way up there in that blue and pink car? Nice work from the young Canadian.
Kyle Kirkwood desperately wants that yellow to come out to try to get refired and stay on the lead lap. But right now it's all racing down into turn 8.
And this is good news for Alexander Rossi. He has what I think might be the fastest car this weekend. He got unlucky in qualifying. His teammates now behind him, and his team can help him forward as Roman Grosjean's also starting to push. This is cool. Road America's long enough that the AMR safety team might be able to refile Kirkwood before the field comes around, but they need to hurry.
And you may have seen in the background at turn 6, David Malukas going off there. In the background now, the full course caution flies.
Oh, it was close. There goes Kirkwood. But good decision from IndyCar. You can't leave the safety officials there if you think it's going to be on the margin. For Kyle Kirkwood, this is what happened on board.
We got Joseph Newgarden there to your right. He's got clean air in front of him, but you know that the outside is a little bit slick. Oh, he gets into the back of Pato Award. That's why Pato lost so many spots and just spun as soon as he got offline. So just a little bit of a misjudgment there on the brakes from Kyle Kirkwood. Pato did a good job to hang on to it.
Really good job. Unfortunate for Pato. He was being conservative, just riding his way through. And for Kyle Kirkwood, he's entering a big void of dirty air and just got in too deep as Michael's got to shake his hand. And look at Santino Ferrucci with Pato. This could be under review. You cannot move in reaction to a car pursuing and making a move from behind.
Yeah, you saw the orange and black car, Pato Award pushing that black car off of Santino Ferrucci. 3 wide into turn 6. We saw that was Scott McLaughlin that's kind of started that, but then Benjamin Peterson getting forced out onto the grass there. That's too bad. He had a great qualifying performance from the rookie. That's a tough break.
First time in 5 years that AJ Foyt Racing has had both cars in the Fast 12 on a road or street course. So awesome performance there. Let's check in with Dylan Welsh. Dylan?
Well, hey, just remember what happened to Kirkwood at Detroit the last race. Kind of some deja vu. Had to go to the back for some contact. Able to charge his way all the way through the field, ultimately to finish 6th at the end of the day. It may be harder to do that here just with some of the variables and the unknowns, but if anybody can lead him there, I think it's strategist Brian Herta. So he's got a lot of work to do. It's early on, which is maybe the only blessing of this.
Okay, so you use the word strategy as we look at the strategist for the 27, Brian Herta, but let's look at what this does to the tire strategy. We saw for, I think, the first time that I've ever seen, certainly, but maybe ever, all of the drivers in the top 10 start on the primary tires. We've never seen that before. What this does is it really helps those drivers that started on the primaries because they can push this stint that little bit longer, so when they switch onto the alternates, you can shorten that red stint.
Or what you can do if you're Kyle Kirkwood
We're going
is
to give you sticker red.
pit here. That's what I was going to say.
As long as we can and see what happens.
I like this call. Put him on sticker reds because it'll shorten this first stint on reds. He can finish on blacks, or it gives him an option to run long. I think at this point you got to do something different.
Okay,
unless 10 cars pit in front of him, and then you're going to be yelling, "Stay out."
Well, so I'm looking at 23rd, 24th, 25th. Those are the last 3 drivers that are running on the alternates right now, Hunter A. Harvey and Stingray Robb. Do they come in, get off those reds, and commit to essentially a 4-stopper without really losing any track position?
Kevin, you're down there on pit lane. I think the call should be watch what happens in front of you, and if a bunch of cars dive in, stay out.
Well, it's an easy call if you're in the back, and this is working right into the hands of fast cars like Scott Dixon and Will Power, starting way in the back. They want to be done with those reds. They might decide to use them later on because they have an extra set of stickers, but they're coming in. Grosjean is coming in. Felix Rosenquist coming in.
Big chance, big opportunity for those guys at the back. Colton Herta kind of fades, and then
we're going to pit, Kyle. We're going to pit. Pit. We don't want to take a chance here. Let's get those red tires on.
That's the voice of Brian Herta for Kyle Kirkwood.
There you go, the McLaren into pit lane.
Look at this. See all these cars coming? Gosh, I think if you see that, if you're Kirkwood, you really might consider staying out. But Brian Herta's made the call, and he's won a lot of races on strategy, and it's getting crazy on pit lane as they break for the line.
Kevin Lee.
So we'll spot him as we see him coming in. Easy call, as mentioned. If you're in the back, I see Felix Rosenquist coming in. Scott Dixon, Roman Grosjean are coming toward us. Will Power as well. These are quick cars. Remember that Scott Dixon car, massive crash. Kyle Kirkwood in the spin. We see coming in, as Brian Herta said, we want to get rid of these alternates. Felix Rosenquist is the first off pit road. Everyone is on primary Firestones and top off. So we've got an extra strategy involved in play now.
Look at this map scramble trouble off pit road, and that involves Ryan Hunter-Ray here at the BitNile.com Chevy. Ed Carpenter Racing, yes, Captain America is back. He has tag-teamed Connor Daly and is in this ride now for ECR. Had a pretty eventful day yesterday in qualifying and did not qualify where he would like to. He was right at the back of the field as he gets comfortable back in road course racing in IndyCar, and we're going to take you back to the start of the race and show you what went down, particularly in this left side column.
This was a really slow, controlled start. You see some brake lock up there. I think that's Graham Rahal. And that meant Rosenquist had to, jump to the outside. Graham Rahal over the back of Devlin DiFrancesco. When you have those slow starts, Townsend, you can have that checkup effect.
Especially because everybody's riding throttle and dragging brake as
Jack Harvey. Jack Harvey may be getting an earful from race control. Yeah, based on him getting out of the throttle, you can pass before the line. You can pass as soon as they call green, but you cannot pull out of line, out of your column until that green command comes.
What if someone stops in front of you and it was unavoidable?
Well, yeah, but you can't then benefit by getting by 3 rows, I don't think.
What is supposed to do? Just slam on the brakes?
No, you lift off the throttle and go back behind.
You're going all the way to the back anyway. So if you're Jack Harvey,
take the risk.
Go for it, take the risk. What's the worst that can happen?
Hey, you two, look at me. It's lap 3 of 55.
Hey, play nice. Put your ruler away. I know you used to be a school teacher. Don't pull that thing out.
All right, we're ready to get going. Again, Colton Herter in the Gainbridge Honda at the front. Look at Marcus Ericsson and Devlin DiFrancesco.
Again, you can pass as soon as the green is called, so that was a move into the final corner. But guys, look at Marcus Armstrong. We hadn't talked about him, up from 8th to 3rd. Now he's all over the back of his teammate Alex Palou in the white and blue car. You see the green car of Armstrong to the outside. What a run!
And Palou's not letting him get through that easily. Newgarden and then Rossi. Devlin DiFrancesco really doing well here today. Qualified in 12th, moved up to 8th before that yellow.
There's Christian Lundgaard going in front of Alexander Rossi. That is a pass for 5th or 6th.
And now Pato O'Ward's making a move on his teammate. So Pato O'Ward ahead of Rossi, now down to 7th. As car 7, you can see him pop out there in the blue and orange car, trying to get him back into turn 5. Late on the brakes. Pulls the move off.
Not for long. Let's see if O'Ward tries to cross him up. He tries, but he had to check up before he got to the back of his teammate. All the way back, you see 2 wide with Scott Dixon approaching treacherous turn 6 right here.
Scott Dixon, Romain Grosjean, and Will Power. These guys have all had issues together so far this weekend.
Remember, Will Power said yesterday Romain Grosjean needs a punch in the face for something that went down in practice, and Grosjean knows that. They almost come together.
That's going to let Scott Dixon, go by. There he is in that blue and orange PNC Bank machine. Will Power, big understeer now.
He's got to be careful. Very little grip offline. If you get just an inch over too far to the left, Will Power's discovered already. You are in the grass and the gravel at high speed. Great run through the kink for Power. Absolutely sending it. And look at the benefit here.
Yeah, a little bit of a lift from Scott Dixon. But outside is tough to pull off in the Canada corner.
This is where they crashed yesterday and crashed hard. Dixon and Power. Big miscommunication. Dixon came across his bow. No contact that time.
Hey guys, message from race control. Pato O'Ward has to give up 2 positions for the initial start and his conduct on that start.
With Santino Ferrucci.
Look at Lundgaard chasing Joseph Newgarden up the front straightaway. Lundgaard up to 5th and pressing. Impressive performance for the driver of the 45, the Vivid onboard here. Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. It's been a very up and down season for them. Huge struggles at the Indy 500, but on the smooth road courses like the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit and here at Road America, Lundgaard strong and strongly on the button with his left thumb on push to pass.
Yeah, now that the push to pass is active, he's going to try to go the long way. It's not likely to work. Joseph Newgarden elbows out, pushes them off the track completely.
Hip check into the glass.
Oh, and that's Alexander Rossi goes by Christian Lundgaard. And now he's under threat from Devlin DiFrancesco, who's up to 7th.
Rossi is on the move. Herter, Palou, Armstrong, Newgarden, then Rossi. We told you at the start of the race to watch Alexander Rossi. Here's Newgarden and Lundgaard.
Aggressive turn in from Lundgaard. I like what he did, but yeah, that second hit there, right rear to left front.
Take another look at the incident that created a penalty for Pato O'Ward. He's in that orange and black number 5. Santino Ferrucci in the black car is going to draft up. pop out to the outside, and Pato Award.
He just drives into him.
Yeah, that's at 170 miles an hour. So 2-spot penalty is mild.
Yeah, I think it's probably he has to go back behind the car that he caused the infraction to. So there goes Santino Ferrucci and Pato filing back in line. Those two still running lockstep.
So it's the pole man, Colton Herta, who leads the way and has led every lap thus far in the Gainbridge Honda, with the championship leader in. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Sonsio Vehicle Protection, official partner of the NTT IndyCar Series race here at Road America. Shell, renewable race fuel, is powering progress. And by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. Welcome you back. Off to a pretty interesting start here in this 55-lap race here at Road America. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you. Every lap has been led by this man here, Colton Herta, looking for his not only his first win of this season, but the first podium. So there's been a little bit of extra pressure on this young man. Signed a big contract renewal in the off-season, but has yet to see a podium through the first 7 races. So time is now. Today is the right time to deliver for this Southern California guy, being chased down by the Spanish star and championship leader Alex Palou. And how about the 22-year-old Kiwi in the bright green car, Marcus Armstrong third.
Spectacular start for Armstrong. He looks comfortably on pace, managing fuel and tire behind his more experienced teammate Alex Palou. But he's shown all season that he's capable of this kind of performance, and he's been quietly watching and studying Kevin, and he's putting all of that information to good work today.
And remember, he's the Ganassi driver that did get a test here because of a rookie, and this rookie opportunity. That shows the confidence that they have in his feedback, that they based all their setups on what Marcus Armstrong did here. And you get a sense of how talented he is, because as good as it's gone, he's 17th in the championship ahead of 10 veterans that have done all the races. He's not done the 2 oval races so far, but I sense he wants more. A couple of 8 plates is not enough. He expects to be fighting for podiums, and today he is.
And I think you see the top 3 comfortably running in their own little bubble of air, not pressing too hard at this point in the race to try to close on the car in front, which is only going to disrupt the aerodynamic purity, if you will, of the race car's performance, and then rely too much on tire grip. They're going to use clean aero if they can and let those tires run as long as they can. Kyle Kirkwood coming from the back.
Yeah, a little bit of housekeeping here, guys. He's had to drop several positions for avoidable contact. We're on board with Pato Award. This is lap 1, turn 1. Watch what happens. Boom. That's Kyle Kirkwood into the Aaron McLaren driver. And race control said, that's not allowed. There was a self-penalty there, but it also affected Award's race. And this was Will Power during the last commercial break.
Oh, man, so close to losing control right there, and a massive hit to the bottom of the car.
And then right in front of him while this was happening, Agustin Canapino just gets a big tank slapper in the middle of that final corner, turn 14. Bit of a trip, but looks like turn 3, Felix Rosenqvist maybe?
Still running, no damage seemingly to his race car.
Yeah, there it is. We saw Joseph Newgarden have an issue there. I think maybe Scott Dixon as well in practice. We've seen issues everywhere throughout practice, Townsend, but
wonder if he had any help getting there. Look at this little cross-up move from Simon Pagenaud, making a move.
Rosenqvist was fresh from a podium in Detroit 2 weeks ago. So he'll get back on track and try and make up for lost time.
Rinus VeeKay there in that blue and white number 21 direct supply on that car with Scott Dixon right behind him. Let's take a look again at Felix Rosenqvist.
Rinus VeeKay on the inside. Boom.
Yeah, that's an easy call for race control.
There's the help you were talking about.
Now, if you're an official, you're going to watch this and say, did Rosenqvist block? I don't think I saw anything to suggest that. No, that's just VeeKay forcing it. That should be an easy, avoidable contact penalty.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, when you've lost that position in turn 1, I understand the urgency to try to get it right back, but just didn't have the momentum, didn't have the space, and unfortunately has taken Felix out of a good run.
Well, for Felix, it was unfortunate. He was the best runners of those to stop on the caution. He was up to about 13th at that point, so that's kind of a brutal result. The penalty does nothing to help Felix get back to where he was running.
So, in a very rhythmic pattern at the moment, nothing too much has changed. Herta, Palou, Armstrong, Newgarden, Rossi, then Lundgaard in 6th. Hannah Ward, Devlin Di Francesco, Ericsson and Ferrucci. Scotty Mack and the Thirsty Threes are on the move. He is up 9 positions from where he started and is flying. This is Romain Grosjean, the Delaware Life Honda.
That looks like turn 3 again. I wonder if there was help once again.
And his car is stalled. I can tell by the body language. The visor's up as the hands collapse on the steering wheel, and an already challenging weekend for Romain Grosjean goes straight into the sandbox.
Now we're still
lap 12. This puts us right in the pit window. Oh, he dropped his left rear right into the grass on approach.
Unforced error. Nobody else around.
He said we saw that out of a couple drivers throughout practice. Just trying to use every inch of the track limits.
Telling you about Scott McLaughlin on the move. This is Scotty Mack on Santino. Ferrucci getting a little physical.
He pulled it off eventually, but this is what we're seeing here is the Reds versus the Blacks. Giving him a little wave on the way by, Scotty Mack. But this is what a lot of teams would have been paying attention to. But now the pits are open, and the 26 is in the pits, Dylan.
Yeah, everybody trying to get in before a potential yellow here. Colton Herta, race leader, going to hit his box first at the entry to pit road. Not said too much about the balance of the race car. They take blacks off, put another set of sticker primary Firestones on for Herta. Kevin.
This does not work into the hands of most of the field that was on primaries, but helps those that were on alternates that were ready to come in. We watch Alex Palou, who has the pit out, the most advantageous pit section coming in. He's going to another set of primaries. Those are red rims, but they're still primaries. Herta's going to win the race off pit road. Marcus Armstrong in a drag race with Joseph Newgarden, and Newgarden is going to have that spot. Alexander Rossi comes out 5th.
And the caution flies, second one today.
Kind of surprised that I'm not seeing a lot of red tires go on, as there's been an issue again for Kyle Kirkwood on pit lane.
Just take your time here, guys. Take your time.
I wonder if he missed his pit box.
Let's get the car in the pit box, get the starter.
Is there contact maybe? His car was in a weird spot. Yeah, maybe he did just go past it though.
Or maybe somebody else was pulling out. That's Alexander Rossi in a box just behind him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Rinus VeeKay again.
Check this close call. This is Marcus Armstrong. He was fighting with Joseph Newgarden, and that was Simon Pagenaud.
That could be an unsafe release call. Yeah, that could definitely be an unsafe release call. So could Rinus VeeKay get called for unsafe release.
Oh boy, that could undo Marcus Armstrong's race big time. We will wait and see. Stay tuned on that. Colton Herta still in a very commanding position here at Road America. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by GetRefunds.com. See if your business qualifies for an ERC refund today. Hy-Vee, this racing season, help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. Custom Entertainment, we're not just passionate about entertainment, we helped define it. And by Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power equipment.
Absolutely beautiful shots of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin and Road America. You know, every year that I come here, I frankly don't want to leave. I always think to myself, what a great place to live, raise a family, and most importantly, to enjoy the sights and sounds of IndyCar.
Do you know how many people live here permanently? Less than 1,000.
937.
Less than 1,000, and it swells to over 50,000 or more during race weekend. It's incredible. And its most famous resident, our old teammate,
David Hobbs.
Our old Formula One on NBC teammate, the Hobbo, lives here. Well, part-time anyway, and has done for so long. Boys, there are some big movers in this pack. Scott McLaughlin, Scott Dixon, Helio Castro-Neves. They've each made up 10 positions. So it's a phenomenal move, and the highest of them all is McLaughlin, who sits in 8th place at the moment.
Now,
so
we saw some chaos on pit road, definitely under review, a few different incidents, but let's just check back in on the review of the 21 and the 6. Rinus VeeKay and Felix Rosenqvist. There is no action being taken, no avoidable contact. And Dylan Welch, we're looking at the bright green, vivid RLL car of Christian Lundgaard. What do you know about him?
Yeah, you certainly can't miss that car. It's a brightest race car on the racetrack. So earlier we saw those close contact, close quarters racing with Joseph Newgarden, and you'll see the replay here as they come down the hill into turn number 5. Lundgaard was not all too pleased that there was not a penalty issued here as well. This was his response on the radio.
So you're aware, turn 5 with Joseph was reviewed with no action. No action? Correct.
I don't mind that at all. Listen, you're Lundgaard, you're pushing it on the outside of the line, you're taking a bigger chance.
He's ahead of him at the apex,
who cares? You're on the outside line. I mean, if you're Newgarden, it's such an easy thing to control. Look, he leaves him room right there. Lundgaard had a choice to back out at that point, but just chose to stay with it. The one I don't get, James, is Rosenqvist and VeeKay.
Yeah, I agree.
VeeKay, what I think should have had a penalty for avoidable contact in that situation.
Yeah, I agree that Newgarden and Lundgaard won is a racing deal, but yeah, for sure the distance from which he came, it was left rear to, or left front side to right rear. It should have been a penalty.
Kevin, what's going on with Will Power?
Just topping off. That's the 4th stop already. He came in on lap 2 and topped off. Pit stop with everyone else, topped off again, and it's not ready to go green. Top off one more time, and a top off means more here on a 4-mile track than it does others. He's now in the normal window. Everyone else pitted a little bit earlier than we'd like, so he won't have to save any fuel.
Take a look at this one.
Great move.
On board with Rosenqvist.
Great move by Rosie to do the over-under there, and then...
I mean, how is that?
It's front wing. It wasn't even left front to right rear. It was end fence to right rear.
We've seen penalties for so much less than that. I mean, that is a late lunging dive, and to your point, it's like front axle to rear axle.
Not even. It's front wing. Yeah, that one's surprising, but yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know what to say
unless we're missing some critical piece of information.
Hey, Dylan, what you got?
Hey, so Pato O'Ward rides 7th right now. They've got a rear bar issue, which is affecting the handling of the race car. Just can't get the understeer out of it. They've made some air pressure adjustments, a wing change, but they're battling that right now for Pato.
You can see the right hand going down, but that would be the front bar adjustment. Oftentimes, you've got to try to unload the suspension and unlock the bar, but must be a bigger issue than that for Pato O'Ward.
All right, get ready. Let's go. We're going to go racing again. Marcus Ericsson there looking racy in that red and white Husky Honda. Who's off track? It's Jack Harvey.
Oh, wow.
Nothing he could do there because he knows if he stops, he's dead in the water. So he's trying to stay in the throttle, but he cannot get it turned as the cautions wave once again. You know what I'm saying? Harvey's thinking, I'm in the kitty litter. I gotta lean into it and see if I can rotate the car on the throttle. And once he decided it wasn't working, it was too late.
For not being up to pace, though, I'm surprised at how far he made it in. Yeah, you see he's got the engine running, but he is buried. So let's ride on board here. Listen. Wow. Man, once you got offline there,
there was a little bit of contact with the car ahead.
It'll reward Alex Palou, the closest to getting it done, but he'll have to wait till later on this summer as more penalties coming.
Yeah, this is Rinus VeeKay. Unsafe release. Kyle Kirkwood had to take evasive action. And he's not the only one to get an unsafe release penalty on pit road. Marcus Armstrong got one as well. That was a close call. Here is the Armstrong one involving Simon Pagenaud. Pagenaud hits the skids as hard as he could to avoid the Ridgeline Lubricants Honda.
So Armstrong was given a 1-position penalty. He gave up that spot to Alexander Rossi, so he still runs 5th.
Excellent job from Mike Shank spotting for Pagenaud there. You could tell that Pagenaud was getting a warning from Shank on the pit box about what was about to happen. And that makes all the difference in the world. Simon Pagenaud Nice job so far today, up to 13th. It's been a tough season. He had a good, strong run at Detroit, but it's a heads-up situation like that from your spotter on the box that can make a world of difference.
He got to go home last week to France and race in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, as did Scott Dixon as well. Let's head back to the pits. Let's get an update with Kevin Lee on Will Power. What's happening, Kevo?
A little more clarification on why there have been 4 pit stops. So the 4th made some sense, but the reason we got to that point is the 2nd stop, they did not get fuel in. So that's why he gave up a little bit of track position from 18th to 23rd, actually to 25th. And then once you're back at 25th, they went ahead and topped off one more time. But they are in a little better fuel situation than others, but a long ways to go. Now, meanwhile, the top 8 are on primary Firestones. The first on the alternates, Marcus Ericsson. Brad Goldberg, his engineer, simply said, we've got to try something different. We're going to see if this works. It's going to be difficult to make it go the entire stints because they've not been lasting. But these yellow laps are helping them being able to make their fuel number and stay on the same strategies everyone else. Maybe watch for Ericsson on the softer, faster tires to make a couple of spots up on this restart.
Yeah, this is really great for the 8 team because, like you say, you're going to have that kind of preferred tire for the restart. They're going to have more grip early on, those softer red sidewall tires, but at the same time, you still want to see more cautions because the more caution laps you can run, you're mitigating the amount of laps you have to run under green and stopping these tires from falling off. So this could actually be going the way of the 8 team.
You saw a quick shot there of his strategist, Taylor Kyle, on the box of the number 8 at Chip Ganassi Racing. Want to say congrats to Taylor and to his wife Katie on the birth of their 2nd child. And we say happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Camp.
So I think the yellow might have hurt him. I think Scott thought that as well. Radio is trying to tell him differently.
Surely it helps fuel-wise. Yeah, no, it just makes it so, it helps everybody, but it just makes it so we can have I think we got a pretty good car, so it makes it where we could use it. Yeah.
Scott McLaughlin got a nice boost this weekend. One of his childhood heroes was New Zealand racing legend Greg Murphy, a 4-time Bathurst 1000 winner. And Murph surprised him by turning up here at Road America with a group of fellow New Zealanders. So that's lifted his spirits. He didn't qualify all that well, but he's been racing well. And speaking of racing, let's get back to it. Green flag flies here at Road America, and watch that bright green Vivid car of Christian Lundgaard. He's incensed that Newgarden didn't get a penalty. He's on the attack.
He's on the attack for the other green car of Marcus Armstrong. You see them weaving down the straightaway, trying to break the draft. Marcus Armstrong's going to have a run here on Alexander Rossi into turn 1, not late enough on the...
But no, Lundgaard backs off now. Lundgaard has a challenge coming from Pato O'Ward in the other orange Arrow McLaren.
2 super talented young drivers who came from the world of Formula 2 in Europe, and they have made their home very effectively here in the NTT IndyCar Series.
Oh, here comes Armstrong. Pops out on Rossi. Who's going deeper on the brakes?
Armstrong's got it in that Ridgeline Lubricants car. Rossi with the switchback couldn't do it.
Nice job.
And there goes Devlin DiFrancesco by Marcus Ericsson. So the guy's got red tires. Santino Ferrucci now on the inside of 6. No grip on the outside. That's another spot to Scott Dixon. He's lost now, being challenged by Pagano.
Whoa, Pagano and Ericsson come together.
I wonder if that right rear got cut down by the wing contact. It looks like it's intact. Up.
Big block there. Benjamin Peterson got in the way of Stingray Rob to prevent that move.
I don't think it was a block as much as an offensive move against Pagano. Great driving from Benjamin Peterson, late on the brakes, and Stingray Rob head up to not get into the back of the 55.
Frantic opening lap on the restart here. Colton Herta still in command over Alex Palou and Joseph Newgarden.
See a blue and gold car. That's Ryan Hunter-Reay making his IndyCar return. He's looking pretty feisty behind Helio Castroneves.
Had an unfortunate incident in qualifying, found himself in the tire barriers right here in turn 14, but doing a great job in the number 20 BitNile.com car, running up in the 18th position right now as we see Pato O'Ward now on Christian Lundgaard. We see Dixon in the background on Santino Ferrucci. The blue and orange car gets the move done.
Boy, Pato O'Ward's on the attack. Here is Ryan Hunter-Reay as well. So Hunter-Reay grabs that position very effectively from Kyle Kirkwood.
I think Kirkwood had passed Hunter-Reay, and then Hunter-Reay making the move back. And 21 laps into this race, as more action at the front. Here comes Armstrong looking at the outside of Newgarden. That didn't work last time somebody challenged Newgarden to the outside in 5. It was Lundgaard, and he got shoved off.
This is the best we've seen Marcus Armstrong race at the front of the field. We've seen him put in some excellent performances, but it's been kind of around that top 10 zone, not knocking on the door of a podium. This is an awesome run.
It's a great drive from the young New Zealander on board with the mission on board of Alexander Rossi, watching that battle up ahead.
Rossi's got a nice run going here. He breathed it at just the right time in the carousel. Let's see how he does through the kink. It looks like Armstrong's hanging on. Rossi had to pedal it, though, in the dirty air. 193 miles an hour, 195, and he gets on the hard limiter. They are flying into Canada corner.
We got to remember Marcus Armstrong in the draft with Joseph Newgarden was getting helped along. I bet Newgarden was on the button. As we look at this Firestone telemetry, you see Rossi pedaling it through turn 13, down a couple gears here for turn 14, and now this blast up the hill down the front straight.
Speaking of on the button, push to pass, 200 seconds available of extra boost. There you see the seconds remaining. How you like to beat Colton Herta?
Here we go. Here we go. Rossi thinks about it on Marcus Armstrong into turn 1.
Man, that 2-car draft is huge, Townsend. He was not on push to pass there. He just sucked right up to the back of Marcus Armstrong in that green Ridgeline Honda.
So Pato Award was able to get by Christian Lundgaard. Lundgaard's looking to respond.
And you know what I see looming in the back, like every chaotic race we've ever had in IndyCar.
Scott Dixon.
The orange and blue, the PNC of Scott Dixon, up 14 positions since the start. He is a master of staying out of trouble in crazy races and methodically moving his way forward. And you know Chip Ganassi has fast race cars today. Dixon, one to watch in the second half of this race.
Look at McLaughlin too, 2 cars back. That's Soncio Chevy. He's ahead of fellow New Zealander Scott Dixon. There he is right there.
And nobody's breaking away, guys. This draft is really keeping everybody almost nose to tail. It's a great little pack we've got running, but it's Ericsson that's falling back on those reds. Let's go on board Simon Pagenaud side by side with Dixon into 5. Just ran a bit wide.
And running wide for Marcus Ericsson right here. And now Pagenaud's going to try to thread the needle, and he just gets clipped.
That was on that restart lap.
He had to go for it, though, Townsend. He had to go for it on the outside there.
I got clipped by Ericsson.
He did. He absolutely did. Ericsson just trying to stem the bleeding from that incident going off in turn 5 and turn 6. But that cost Pagenaud a ton of track position. And now Alexander Rossi firing back on Marcus Armstrong. He's got the draft off Newgarden.
Well, he thought about it on the inside on the previous lap, so he decided to go the outside that time. Here comes Alexander Rossi. Beautiful move, and now defends into turn 3.
That was a great experienced call from Alexander Rossi. Marcus Armstrong going to defend, got himself out of the draft. Alex said, thank you very much. I'll sit here on the back of Joseph Newgarden.
Here comes a very feisty Pato Award, drafting up on Armstrong. Armstrong has a draft on Rossi. How's this going to play out?
Touch back in, and now Award thinks about it on the inside of Armstrong.
Meanwhile,
speaking of Palou, Newgarden grabs second and contact with the championship leader.
Wow, I did not see that run coming. Great save, though, from Alex Palou in that blue and white card second on your screen there, the number 10.
Newgarden throwing picks and blocks and shoulders and elbows like he plays offensive line, muscling his way forward. But I say again, good hard racing right there.
No, absolutely. I just didn't think he was that close. I didn't realize he caught up so much to the back of the 10. Maybe tires starting to come into play here.
Newgarden head down. He wants to make up those 2 seconds and go start messing with Colton Herta, who's been leading easily today.
That's exiting turn 5, coming up the hill to 6.
He did get into him a little bit there,
but Palou got wide in the previous corner, had trouble getting the traction down. Advantage went to Newgarden. And if one thing has been demonstrated today, if you let Newgarden to the inside, don't expect he's going to give you any favors in the brake zone. He'll leave you just enough to get yourself in trouble.
3 cautions today for 7 laps. Biggest move is in the pack. Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin,
another toe.
Helio Castro Neves. Look at turn 1.
Palou to the outside of Newgarden. I love that chopper shot. You can really appreciate the draft up the long front straightaway. Pelot's going to have a run down to 5 here, I think.
So too's Marcus Armstrong. Watch that green Ridgeline car. 2 back is the bright green Vivid car. Chip Ganassi, he's had some frustrations this weekend. A lot of cars off track. Scott Dixon's car had to be replaced yesterday. And now here's his young charge. Wheel to wheel with Rossi.
Yeah, you got to back out of that one, but now he's got to defend from Pato Award. He's got there. Pato's there.
Pretty heavy squeeze, but Pato Award not going to lift. And how about Christian Lundgaard taking advantage? How quickly can you go from 3rd to 5th or 3rd to 6th as Armstrong now back to 7th?
And all this battling means drivers are using their push to pass. You see it in the pylon there. The seconds remaining. 200 is what you started with. And the guy that's smiling right now is Colton Herta. He's not had to use it at all to defend, but as all these cars behind him race each other, they're burning that push to pass, and that's going to be a huge advantage for the 26th later in this race.
Tell you what, though, Joseph Newgarden's catching him. He was boasting more than a 2-second lead. That's down to 1.3 now. Here comes the PPG Chevy. Let's watch the O'Ward move. That was pretty savvy. He had to tuck it back up the inside. Watch the green car up ahead. Gotcha.
It was good defending for Marcus Armstrong. He did his best to get there, but he left that one car width because Pato was there. So it was aggressive, but it was on the line. It was good, I think.
It was good until you consider that it really put Armstrong in this situation vulnerable once again. So had he just given up the spot to Award, he might not have lost another one to Lundgaard. But I like the aggression from the rookie. He's come swinging today and showing he has the pace and the racecraft to hopefully get him his first top 5.
There are only 3 New Zealanders in this race. I only say only. That's the most there's ever been. 3 New Zealanders in a race, and they're all together.
7th, 8th, and 9th. Armstrong, McLaughlin, and Dixon.
So lap 25, you can pit on lap 28 and make it to the end with one more stop. So that's where the window opens up. I think the black tire shod cars are going to run long on this stint. If you're a car on reds like DeFrancesco, who's the first runner on reds, if you feel like you've got an imbalance, if you feel like you're struggling, Dylan, you're going to come to pit lane as soon as the window opens.
Yeah, I think it's for Devlin. I think he feels pretty comfortable behind the wheel of that race car and just lost a spot to Santino Ferrucci. But now those 3, Dixon, Ferrucci, and DeFrancesco, when they do pit next time, they'll be off with the reds. They'll be done. So they can go the primaries from here.
And David Malukas, the HMD Dale Coyne car, comes to a stop.
Looks like entrance to the carousel as the full course caution comes out. 4th one of the day, lap 24. How many laps of caution will this be? Does it open up the final, or sorry, second to last stop for all these cars?
Can't tell if that's just a mechanical issue, the car's shutting off and he pulled off the track, or if he ended up there somehow.
The field is pretty packed up, so they might open the pits next time by, which would be on this lap, lap 26.
We'll find out what happened to David Malukas and let you know when we come back to Road America.
Yellow flag pit stops are underway, and Alex Palou comes in and will just barely beat Joseph Newgarden out. Then it's Colton Herta coming out 3rd. Keep in mind, the top 8 before that had not done their mandatory stint on the alternate red sidewalled Firestones. Some of those maybe with an advantage that have primaries the rest of the way. Scott Dixon, he pitted from 9th, all took Shell fuel as well. Dylan.
Colton Herta lost the lead, and he sort of half stalled. The car chugged when he went to take off from the pit box. That may have been all that he needed to lose a couple spots and fall back to 3rd.
This guy was a machine last year with his overtaking moves here at Road America. Started 11th, finished 5th. It could have been even higher. So now he's going to have to display that again. But the problem is he's up against the Indy 500 winner and the series leader. Let's listen.
Well, one of the things to remember, the position that the 26 is in pit lane is right in the middle of pit lane. So pitting from the lead, he has all these cars that are coming down to get to their box.
Left on your left. There, you're all clear in there, all clear.
Yeah, so he had to slow down. We didn't see what that car was in front of him, but he maybe had to drag his car a little bit, drag the brakes, slow down, and maybe that slower launch. Let's see.
I think just a little
Right
bit
there.
slow on the stop. But
Yeah, maybe.
Here's the race off pit road.
Keep
Alex
in mind-
Palou, Joseph Newgarden, then Colton Herta.
Keep in mind, you're going against Chip Ganassi Racing's #1 car. Team Penske's #1 car with Joseph Newgarden. That's a tall order.
Oh, yeah.
It might even been 0.2 of a second on pit lane. It's going to swing both directions, but now we'll get to see what Colton Herta's like starting in dirty air. How aggressive does he play this? And remember, he has saved all 200 seconds. He has not touched push to pass.
Now, I understand why some of these cars stayed out. Guys like Power, Jack Harvey having had problems. Why did Marcus Armstrong stay out?
Don't understand.
They were only a handful of laps from pitting anyway.
Yeah, 37 seconds lost on pit lane. You do that under green, you're going to need to pit under yellow all day long. So,
And he was right in the mix.
maybe we can find out what's going on with the 11. But he last pitted on lap 13, and he's not going to have much gas left when this thing starts. It reminds me a bit of Canapino staying out at Long Beach.
Yeah, you're right.
That ain't going to work.
Correct.
Dylan, what you got?
So most of what was the top 10 there before those pit stops did pit and put their primary tires on, or their alternate tires on for the first time today. Here is the discussion between Alexander Rossi and strategist Brian Barnhart.
What color you want to go with?
I don't have any information. Can you tell me anything?
I would recommend going to the reds and then finish on the primaries.
Let's go to them and give us a chance to recover if we have to.
10-4.
And so I think part of the hope here is under this yellow, obviously with the reds on, you're not at high speed, so you're not utilizing them quite as much as you would maybe later in the race if we get a longer green flag run. So these guys want to get them on, get them off, and then get back to the primary tires to finish.
If this stays green after the restart all the way to the finish, the car in the best situation, I think, is actually Scott Dixon. He's already satisfied the red tire requirement.
Yep.
So he'll have black tires and black tires to finish. If it stays green, you just look at the number of laps remaining. You're going to have to go 27 laps to the finish. If the reds start to fall apart for guys like Palou, Newgarden, Herta, O'Ward, Scott Dixon is going to be fishing at a trout farm. It's going to be easy picking the rest of the day.
We know that many of you can't be with us throughout the practice and qualifying sessions each weekend. So I want to show you something that was massive yesterday. And it involved two of the biggest names in the sport, two icons of the sport. Day, period. That was, you know, during qualifying. But there was a big crash in practice where Power and Dixon came together. Dixon was unsighted. He didn't know Power was there. He was trying to get out of the way because he'd just spun himself in Canada corner. And it was huge. The Ganassi team had to replace his car.
Yeah, total write-off for Scott Dixon. And for Will Power, almost a total write-off. Massive contact and crash. Power was just like, what in the world was that all about? Scott Dixon simply didn't know Power was there.
And as a result of this, both drivers that had suboptimal qualifyings with cars that weren't quite up to spec. They started 23rd and 22nd, but again, you look at where Scott Dixon has got himself up to, the position he's in, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, just remember that if Scott Dixon continues on the trajectory that he is on in the PNC Bank Honda. Let's go back to racing. Look at Palou on the inside, going on the attack, trying to clear Jack Harvey. He knows Newgarden and Herta are coming.
It's important to clear Jack Harvey, but at the same time, it gave him a slow launch off the last corner. Does that allow Joseph Newgarden to use this draft off the 30 of Jack Harvey? There he is. He's behind Palou. Drag race now down the front.
Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Hold on. Turn one at Road America. This is lively enough as it is, and Newgarden's lost a spot.
Jack Harvey goes wide, trying to defend against Alex Palou. Side by side, that's Scott McLaughlin on the inside of Harvey now. Devlin DiFrancesco side by side with one of the Meyer-Shank cars.
On board here with Rosenquist. Still on the lead lap.
His teammate Pato O'Ward got a spectacular restart.
You hear Rosenquist all over the rev limiter as Joseph Newgarden's defending against Scott
Look
McLaughlin.
who's going to get a spot. Scotty D up another position, now just behind Newgarden.
Scott Dixon on Scott McLaughlin. This is Renus VK on Devlin DiFrancesco, who's forced out into the grass.
Oh, we've seen that so many times already today, and it probably won't be the last.
Just so low grip on the exit, on the outside rather, of turn 6. Pato O'Ward looking on the inside of the carousel there, just out of your screen.
So much action, but Marcus Armstrong up front and leading, but for how long? There can't be much fuel left in that tank.
So Palou is the effective leader, even though Armstrong here is out in front, ahead of Grosjean and Power. They're not part of the main story. That's the guy right there, in the blue and white machine, the American Legion Honda, then Colton Herta, Pato O'Ward, and then you see the light blue PPG Chevy of Joseph Newgarden.
This is so crucial for Colton Herta in that Gamebridge Honda. He started on pole, he had the pace, he controlled it from the beginning. He lost that lead on pit lane, but he needs to just keep a cool head. He knows he's got a great race car.
Great. Do whatever you want to do.
So we've been wondering about Marcus Armstrong, about this strategy of staying out during that yellow. Kevin, what can you tell us?
So he's going to have to pit in another 3 laps or so, but I checked in with Blair Julian, who's on the stand, the strategist, and he was very concerned about being able to make the alternates last for a full stint. So that's why they decided to go ahead and stay out to do something different. If it stays green, they believe those on the alternates might struggle a little bit. That's why I would say keep an eye on Scott Dixon. He's done with it, and he's on primaries, Dylan.
Colton Herta is one that just put the alternates on. This was the conversation with his pit box as he makes a move on Alex Palou here about making the reds last.
And how many laps do I need to make these reds last? 14. Okay. 14 minimum.
And that will get you, that's from a while ago. So the number in your upper left-hand corner is lap 41 of 55. That's your go-home number, meaning get-home number. You've got to get to 41 to make it with just one more stop. That's what everybody will be hanging on to. That's why we think Scott Dixon is in a great situation. Look for lap 35 to 40 in that window for Dixon to really start pressing, as all these cars on reds will start to struggle.
And while that was happening, we watched Colton Herta get around Alex Palou, effectively leading on that strategy now. So clean air, well, not clean air yet, because we still have some pit stops to come. Here's the pit stop prediction from NTT. Armstrong's coming in quick, Power a few laps behind him. That will unleash Colton Herta into that clean air to try to help make those reds last that full 14 laps.
Will Power would need a bunch of luck on yellows to make it home from that pit stop window. So we think Herta is the effective leader on this strategy, and there you see him leading Palou and O'Ward into turn 1.
Let's give O'Ward some props. That's a heck of a comeback after getting hit on lap 1, lost a ton of positions. It was not the ideal start. He's been scrapping and fighting in this Arrow McLaren Chevy, and old Fast Hands is in good shape.
There's a vibration, high speed coming out of O'Ward's wing that I'm not seeing from some of the other cars. It really seems to be shaking a little bit more.
Here's Newgarden and Dixon down into turn 5, fighting over the same piece of real estate.
Rosenquist and Ericsson side by side at 5 as well.
Good close stuff. 31 laps of the 55. It's been an eventful day, punctuated by 4 full course cautions. Let's go on board Felix Rosenquist, show you what happened just a few moments ago.
Graham Rahal in front. Oh. It just sort of fades over. It's kind of the natural line there.
I don't like that, especially when you consider where the draft is up ahead on all the cars ahead of Graham Rahal. I don't know that that was in reaction to.
Yeah, we saw a puff of smoke coming from in front of there.
Yeah, they touched.
Race control said that Rahal had to give up that position. Here is Renus VK in the direct supply Chevy and the blue and pink EvTech Honda. That's DiFrancesco running off track. That was on the restart lap.
Yeah, that's why it was good to see Palou fall in line.
Peterson on his teammate, that's Santino Ferrucci, but it was Benjamin Peterson up the inside as Marcus Armstrong. And again, I just don't get this, James. This guy's not only going to go to the back, he's going to go to the back with a massive gap.
Kevin Lee standing by, Kev.
What would have really helped is if a quick caution had come out after the restart and he could pit under yellow. Yes, he still would have gone to the back, but he would have been able to maintain touch with the rest of the field. The advantage they will have is they go to their alternate Firestones. They only need to make them last 10 to 11 laps. So he might be able to pick up some pace during this last little run.
The thing I don't understand is everyone else had to make them last a full stint, and he had great track position as we see some dicey racing here between 2 McLarens and a Penske. That's Rossi Rosenquist and McLaughlin, who we ride on board with now.
And you know what? Great recovery from Felix Rosenquist after the issues earlier to get himself back into this situation. Running 8th right now, and 8th with pace, and he's got the harder black tire on. So, like Scott Dixon, Rosenquist number 2 in line in terms of favorable strategy that he finds himself in, as the red tire cars are going to start to struggle in the next couple of laps.
What is this place to Felix Rosenquist? It's the site of his first NTT IndyCar Series race victory. The Swedish driver loves it. He got punted earlier by Rinus VK, spun in turn 3, and as Townsend mentioned, great recovery.
The first and only win as we ride on board with the NTT data camera here. I love this nose cam, guys, especially through the track here.
Let's go for a ride.
Let's do it. Let's listen along to Felix Rosenquist.
Rossi's looking pretty bad off of 1. He's struggling on the exit of 1, just so you know.
You hear that big lift. You can see it as well on your Firestone telemetry on the left. He's trying to save a little bit of fuel right now, Felix Rosenquist. If you're not in a position to make a pass, it's better to just get off that throttle, heading into the big brake zone, save a little bit of fuel, and you can see he's not losing anything to his teammate in front, Alexander Rossi, right in that draft. Heading down into turn 5, Joseph Newgarden trying to clear Romain Grosjean.
He does, and Dixon's lining up for a shot as well. Not quite close enough in turn 5. They're all lining up behind Dixon, Rossi, Rosenquist. It's the 2 Swedish drivers together there, Marcus Ericsson, and then Scott McLaughlin. That's what the top 10 looks like. And then 2 of the 3 Rahal Letterman Lanigan drivers together. Christian Lundgaard 11th, Graham Rahal 12th. Big shuffle with team personnel there since the last race in Detroit. So whatever they've done has worked. Rosenquist looked up the inside of Rossi.
Well, everybody's getting stacked up because Romain Grosjean is a lap down and causing all kinds of trouble for Scott Dixon. Dixon trying to force his way past. And he does. That is a big break for Dixon to get that done before the kink, get some clean air, and go after Newgarden.
And Rossi had to do it just after he had to fall in line, and now he's under big pressure from Rosenquist. Ericsson's trying to go by Grosjean as well.
No, Grosjean's in the hurt locker. He is hating this because he loves this track. He's done well in the past, but an unforced error put him in a predicament where now, and strategy call where he's just kind of floundering. He's just out there and he's headed to the pits, just like Will Power.
And Will Power is going to go to alternates. He does still needed to do that. So this is required for Will Power, but he's also shortened that stint. He's been well off strategy since starting in the back, diving in early, couldn't get the full fill on their second stop. So I think this is stop number 6 now for Will Power, is just trying to salvage some points. Shell fuel, Firestones, and back out.
Thanks for that update, Kevin. Almost certainly Will Power will have to stop another time to make it to the end. But from the back, as Christian Lundgaard challenging McLaughlin to the outside. He's tried that once before on McLaughlin's teammate Joseph Newgarden. Didn't work out too well.
Yeah, fool me once. Got the message loud and clear. Fell back in line there. Will live to fight the 3 in another corner. I'm just so impressed at how tight the pack is. No one's breaking away. It's like the extra grip from this new pavement is really just giving drivers the more mechanical grip so that the aero loss from running close isn't quite as aggressive. This has been fun.
So Colton Herter, the pole man who's led 25 laps, has a narrow advantage over Alex Palou, the championship leader. Welcome back. You're watching the Soncio Grand Prix here at Road America, and you're looking at Alexander Rossi. Rossi seems to be floundering. He just got passed by Marcus Ericsson, and that's his teammate Felix Rosenquist. But there's life left in Rossi. He's fighting hard, but I'm not sure how strong a position he's in to fight.
Look at Rosenquist going to try to come right back on his teammate up the inside. He'll have the advantage into turn 6.
And guys, this is alternates versus primaries. You see Alexander Rossi on those red sidewall alternates. He is struggling now. Felix on the primaries.
Are we at the crossover point? About 5 laps from when all these drivers will make their last pit stop. On board here with Lundgaard, you can see he's on the softer red tire.
And the same story further back. You see Scott Dixon in that orange and white car up to P5 right now. Him and Ericsson both on those primaries making moves through all four in front of them on the alternates. These two are going to start moving up.
That is 18 positions gained for Scott Dixon right there. And right behind him is his teammate Marcus Ericsson. Let's go through the field with Kevin Lee. Kick us off, Kevo.
And remember, Marcus Ericsson is second in the championship. A big gap to his teammate Alex Palou, but this is the third straight season, really the second he's been a championship contender. And he told me what I've learned last year is going to help me considerably. I'd not really been in that situation before, and I focused too much on others, only focused on myself right now. Behind him is Felix Rosenqvist, Aaron McLaren. What a recovery it's been for him as Ericsson is challenging Dixon right here. A little gap back to Rosenqvist. He's able to salvage something where it looked like he was going all wrong early, Dylan.
And Kevin, for Alexander Rossi, it is starting to go wrong. Remember what he told us in warm-up this morning? Didn't really get any laps all weekend in practice on these red tires. They are struggling here just to try to keep those underneath them. Rossi's fallen to 8th, Kevin.
And Scott McLaughlin is one of those getting through their alternate stints, so if he can just simply maintain where he's at right now, he can make up some ground, and he is working on Christian Lundgaard right now. No movement, but the car has been good so far for Scott McLaughlin today, Dylan.
And Lundgaard did get around him right there, that bright green neon colored car in front of him. Been a nice weekend for Lundgaard. There was some optimism coming in here despite some internal changes with the Rahal Letterman Lanigan group. Christian runs really well on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Similar philosophies from driving and setup apply here to Road America. He's had a nice day, but he's also starting to struggle a little bit on the reds. Behind him as well, in 11th actually, is Graham Rahal. Same story for him. He started a little bit deeper in the field on a different strategy at the start of the day, but has recovered nicely. Just a slow, steady, methodical day, and 2 of the Rahal cars really running well. Same thing for the guy behind him, Kyle Kirkwood, who had that spin. Lap 1, turn 1. We talked about Brian Herta trying to work some of his magic to get Kirkwood back into the mix. He's close. He's 12th, just outside the top 10.
Good stuff, guys. Thanks very much for that. Colton Herta, you mentioned about the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit. That was the last time that Colton Herta was victorious in the NTT IndyCar Series.
Well, and for Colton Herta, things are starting to slow down a little bit on pace. But moments ago, Colton Herta's teammate, Roman Grosjean, once again off track in turn 1.
Wow. That thing got airborne. I should say, is going to be wild. And in this race, we have got Scott McLaughlin, his old sparring partner from Supercars in Australia, Shane Van Gisbergen, who was one of your old teammates, Townsend. Gizzy's going to be in that race.
One of the most talented drivers I ever had the chance to work with. SVG will be pushing. It'd be fun to see McLaughlin get into that Chicago Cup race, but he's busy on the IndyCar schedule as we ride on board with Scotty Mack, hanging on to those reds, 17 to go. Oh, it's starting to slide around. It's getting greasy on those red tires. What does it look like for Colton Herta up front? Well, the pace for Colton Herta been softening up a bit. That last lap was a 45.2 as Colton Herta crosses the line at the top of the hill here. That's a 45.7, about half a lap slow, half a second lap slower.
And he's been losing distance to the number 10 of Alex Palou in his mirrors there. It was over a second the gap at one point. Now it's back down to basically just a half second.
James, you know Colton very well. He was your old teammate. You of all people know all too well what an important day this is for him. This guy is unbelievably talented, but it seems just there's too many times where things go wrong when they should go right. And everybody recognizes his talent. He's the youngest winner, youngest pole sitter. He is incredible, but this is a really important day in the building of the 2023 season.
It is, and I love the fact that even though he lost the lead through the pit sequence, he got back in front, and now he's controlling it. We saw this before. I was super impressed back when he qualified on pole in Laguna Seca, and he kept Scott Dixon at bay for the entire duration of that race. He knows how to control from the front. I love what he is doing right now, controlling this distance, taking care of these Firestones, and pretty soon he'll be able to strap on another set of primaries, and I think it's smooth sailing from there.
I'm watching Colton Herta hang on right here. You see his team laid out on pit lane, but boy, 15 laps to go at the line. I would think you'd want to put Colton Herta one more lap based on the balance I'm seeing on board. It doesn't look bad at all.
But think about it. You'd rather do it now than under yellow. So if he goes in now, then everyone else is exposed if they don't come with him. And the race off pit lane could be a little more treacherous from where he is.
He'll come in, but this puts you in a little bit of a fuel window. So if it stays green, then for everybody else to run a little bit longer, they're in a better fuel situation. Coming to pit lane with Dylan.
Scott Harner, the strategist, said we're frustrated with our results this year. We need to win this race. Alternates coming off for Colton Herta. Last set of sticker primary Firestones going on. Shell fuel in. We'll see where Herta blends in, Kevin.
So we're going to see Felix Rosenqvist coming in a moment. Rosenqvist has recovered from a couple of offs. Also, we're going to see others in just a moment. Those that just came in, the advantage that they would have, if it goes yellow before everyone pits, they can cycle through. And with that danger zone, everyone is going to come in with the next lap or so. Rosenqvist gets out just ahead of Lundgaard.
Simon Pagenaud gets released from the Meyer Shank team in the Sirius XM AutoNation cars. So Alex Palou didn't pit, nor did Pato Award. Joseph Newgarden and Scott Dixon, they're all still to make their last stop in this Soncio Grand Prix here at Road America.
And I know there's the risk of the yellow coming out, James, but I like the call here from Palou, Award, Newgarden, and Dixon. It puts Colton Herta in a situation where he's got to save a little gas to make that work. I think it's going to be straight up pace to the finish. That would be my gamble. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on green to the end.
And you got to do something different, right? As we see maybe another issue here for Romain Grosjean in turn 3, but you've got to do something different if you're those drivers. And we talked at the top of the show, Palou's so good at taking care of tires. If he's just been babying those reds, he's in a really good spot. So let's take a look back at what happened with Romain Grosjean out of the pit. Simon Pagenaud, he
looks like a repeat of what happened before break, except he just didn't launch the car like last time.
And then there's a down at turn 3.
Oh, man.
It's been a day to forget for Romain Grosjean.
He wants this race to end so badly.
All right, here we go. So we saw Herta up front pit. Now here come all the chasers. And we're going to watch eagerly, Kevin, as to where they come out in relation to Colton Herta.
So top 2 on the track right now. Alex Palou, Pato Award coming in, but we'll be watching Colton Herta on track in the blend. The advantageous pit location. There's Award. He's closer to the middle. Palou is all the way at pit out. Joseph Newgarden is coming a little bit behind him.
It's going to be really close there. They're going to be coming out.
There's an empty spot for Newgarden. He's going to have a clean exit. Palou with the race off. Newgarden, where's Herta?
Here he comes at speed. And it's going to be into turn 1 between the Spaniard and the Californian.
I like that.
And Colton Herta stays ahead.
This is going to get sketchy here, guys.
Oh, boy.
Lundgaard gets pushed way wide.
That was super sketchy.
Rossi defending very aggressively against Felix Rosenqvist and trying to avoid Lundgaard coming back on the track as now Marcus Ericsson has a huge run on the 6.
Ericsson goes to the outside. Rosenqvist giving him a little bit of squeeze, but leaving him room. The advantage, though, should be Rosenqvist to the inside, but he's on cold tires just like Ericsson.
The countrymen, do they come together? No, they don't. They give themselves some room. And look, here comes Scott McLaughlin up the inside.
This is some great defensive driving from Alexander Rossi at the front of this train, the blue and orange car. He is having to do everything to keep these cars behind on cold tires. Now that he's made it to the carousel, though, Townsend, I think he's in good shape.
He should be. Temperature building, especially with the track temp at 116 degrees. As Callum Ilot's off, there goes Hunter Ray around.
As on the exit is Sid.
The Nobbies to make it to the end of this thing. He's been in the grass so much.
He's going to have to come in here in pit pretty soon. He's been on a very different program with all the issues that he's had today. On the 28.
That's what happened to Callum Ilott.
All on his own.
Yeah, it's, again, we've seen it a lot in turn 6. A little bit too wide. Great heads-up driving from Ryan Hunter-Reay. And here's the blend on board Felix Rosenqvist. Oh, my goodness. That is such a fast corner in an IndyCar, guys. That is not insane.
You learned a lot about the bravery of Christian Lundgaard right there, didn't you?
Big time.
Unbelievable.
And he pulled it off, guys. I mean, yeah, he went a little bit wide, but managed to keep the position. So well done to Christian Lundgaard. Great drive today.
So Will Power is at the head of the field, but he is way off sequence by the tune of 13 laps to the difference of Colton Herta. And Herta has about a 3.5, actually not, 2.5 second lead over Alex Palou. Then Newgarden Award, who we ride with right now with thanks to Arrow. a good scrap. Marcus Ericsson, he continues to push forward. That was on Felix Rosenquist. These two guys have been going at it for several laps now. On board the Auto Nation car with Kyle Kirkwood.
Pretty remarkable when you think about the start of the race for Kyle Kirkwood, going off the penalty all the way to the back up to 12th, and now passing Felix Rosenquist for 11th.
And Felix cannot defend because he only has 9 seconds of push to pass remaining with still 12 laps to go at a track with some very long straightaways. The number 6 is going to be very much at a disadvantage in the closing laps of this race.
And Kyle Kirkwood still has a quarter of his allocation left.
Where did Colton Herta's push to pass go? Just a little while ago, it was all 200 seconds. He's used a lot of that button on the
That was it, the outlap. They told him when he left the pit box, we need a mega outlap here. So I think that's where it all went. Colton was trying to use it all up there to make sure he stayed in the lead.
Hey, Dylan, question on fuel mileage for Colton Herta. He did pit a lap earlier than...
This is the number that we need. Now, every team, of course, has different... But I did hear them say, this is the number we need. When we get there, we're good. So I'm sure there is some saving going on right now in the 26.
Let's listen. Oh, yeah, big coast phase there in the Canada corner. So they'll be giving that information to Alex Palou, saying you are in a much better fuel situation than Colton Herta. He's burned a lot of push to pass. Keep digging for the number 10, and they'll have a shot down the stretch.
Alex Palou's got the advantage. He had that clean air, but then time on pit lane, great work by the 26 crew, and you see that outlap. 1 second to the good for Colton Herta, using all that push to pass. Gave him able to come out even a little bit further ahead than he was when he pit, thanks to NTT for that pit time differential.
That last lap, Alex Palou a second quicker than Colton Herta.
Well, 10.5 laps to go. Will Power will need to come in. That puts Colton Herta at the head. Points run, he's going to continue to put a hurting on this field. Colton Herta, the white and blue car, is championship leader Alex Palou. And it is on for the win of this race with just 9 laps to go.
Will Power comes to pit lane. This is the battle for the win. James, I said it earlier. I didn't think it was a great idea to the fuel to the finish. We're starting to see Alex Palou really press as Colton Herta has to get a better fuel number to make it to the end.
And not just be, it's not just a challenge to get that number, Townsend, which it is a huge challenge to get that number while keeping someone like Alex Palou behind you, but it also limits you from being able to use push to pass in defense, Dylan. So the 26 is really sort of handcuffed with what he can do right now.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're asking him to save more, even though he's got Palou breathing down his neck. So we were talking about the numbers in brake. I think you maybe understand those, having driven for Andretti, but the numbers are changing lap by lap here as Herta tries to hold on to the lead.
It's the worst feeling as a driver when you're already saving and they say, hey, man, hey, bud, we need a little bit more. And look at the stress on Michael Andretti's face.
Well, he knows. He's thinking to himself, why? Why did we pit with 15 to go? We could have pitted with 14 to go.
The back straight again, and Palou had a good look at Colton Herta here on the lap before, and then just decides to tuck in again through Canada corner.
Oh, Palou gets a really good exit. He should be right with Herta as they come to the final corner before the long front straightaway. And if I'm Palou, I'm going to start using my button, make my move now.
Well, the other thing is you got to remember where you save fuel as a driver is at the end of these long straightaways into the brake zone. So the exact place where Colton Herta needs to be lifting and saving is where Alex Palou is going to be attacking. And it just makes it so much harder. So Palou's doing a great job of just forcing Colton to have to go on the brakes a little deeper
right there.
and lifting. Yeah,
big coast phase from Colton Herta as Palou closes up.
Makes it very difficult to defend for the driver of the Gainbridge Honda.
You see the push to pass on the pylon there, 21 seconds for Colton Herta, 39 for Palou, but
89.3, Palou, 39 overtake.
Letting Colton know how many seconds left. Alex
Look at
Palou
that.
has. And he thought about it into turn 5.
Oh, he knows. Alex Palou can smell blood in the water.
And Palou needs to think about making his move sooner rather than later, because off the tail of the number 10, Newgarden, O'Ward, Dixon, all starting to close the gap. If you're Alex Palou, you do not want to make this a 5-car fight for the win.
Alex Palou has won 2 of the last 3 races. The Indy GP, and then 2 weeks ago on the streets of Detroit. In the break, he didn't get a break. He went back to Europe to test a Formula 1 car. And then comes back here, ready to go. This guy is as neat as a pin. He looks like he's just come out of a salon every time you see him. And he drives the same way. He is meticulous. T-Bell, what do you...
Track, never making forceful moves, always very methodical. And take a look at this spy cam we had from the number 10 stand. Little audio about push to pass.
Overtaken front, 32, behind, 47, no pressure behind, 2.4 back.
Now pressure at the front though as Palou presses forward.
And there he does it on the outside.
How about that? Nice move, Alex Palou, the American Legion Honda, in the lead of the Soncio Grand Prix.
Beautiful stuff. And Colton Herta knows he's a sitting duck at this point. Now, Colton Herta's attention turns immediately to what's behind him. He's going to have to deal with Newgarden, O'Ward, and Dixon at the finish of this thing. For Palou, this is perfect. Let Herta mess with the guys behind, head down, 6.5 more laps, and he'll win again at Road.
It says they run, fellas. Alex Palou would extend a 51-point championship lead to 78. Oh, my goodness.
That is a remarkable gap to have at this point in the season. Only time I've seen bigger was his teammate Scott Dixon in 2020 when he had won all 3 of the first 3 races.
Yeah. And I immediately think, well, he's going to go to some tracks that aren't his best, but then
And keep in mind, this could be a 4-win winning streak, 4 races, because he won in the GP at Indianapolis. He maybe could have, should have won the Indy 500. He was hit on pit lane, fell to the back, still came back and finished 4th. Win number 2 in a row if things stay the way they are. And what's even scarier, he says he's better than when he won the championship. Lee was telling both of this on Thursday. As Newgarden gets a run on Herta.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Colton Herta cannot fight. He cannot Honda to the end, but that's a long way to go. 6 laps around the 4-mile monster that is Road America.
Point, if you're Colton Herta, you're just thinking, why? How are we in this situation? Why don't these guys have to save fuel? And it just comes down to that 1-lap difference, a 4-mile racetrack, and it's a massive amount of fuel difference pitting a lap earlier.
And Chevy, what happened through the kink? Oh boy.
What an incredible save. I mean,
especially that last snap. That was like Simon Pagenaud last year here. That big old bump off track.
Guys, here's something that is very realistic that could transpire right before our eyes here this afternoon. Scott Dixon could go from wrecking a race car in practice yesterday, having to go to a backup car, starting way down the back of the field. He's made up 18 positions. He could finish on the podium here at Road America. There's still plenty of time to go.
And as they run right now, Dixon 4th in the championship standings, 100 points behind his teammate Alex Palou. That's a big delta, but a lot can happen down the stretch, especially with the 9. I wonder how far back Dixon's ever been and still won the championship.
I'll make it up. He's been in every scenario and pulled it off. Our stats guru, Russ Thompson, is crunching the numbers as we speak to give us an answer, but let's enjoy what we're seeing. Here comes Pato O'Ward up the inside and will take over 3rd place from
turn 3.
Dylan.
Well, hey, we see Pato O'Ward on the move. Keep in mind the day he's had, got hit by Kirkwood on turn 1, lap 1, fell to 7th, had a blocking penalty earlier where he had to give up a spot. Then they've been battling that rear bar issue where the car isn't handling exactly as they wanted it to. But after their last 2 races at Indy and Detroit, they just wanted to come here and frankly finish. They've had 2 DNFs in a row, so a finish in the top 3 is certainly just what the doctor ordered to kind of right the ship for Pato here.
Yeah, that's nice. Because I like to go on the attack. I'm not a guy who just sits around and counts the numbers and looks at the points. I like to go on the attack. As we go back to Marcus Ericsson, Christian Lundgaard, Scott McLaughlin. Speaking of Lundgaard, here's the Vivid Honda. Whoop. Turn 6, just got a little wide, lost it.
It's caught out a bunch of drivers so far today. His turn 6, just so slippery offline. Here's Scott McLaughlin in the same corner, watching him go off.
Oh, so tempting. So tempting for McLaughlin to try to fire it to the 8. Making the high percentage decision to wait until he gets a better chance.
Yeah, you're inside the top 10, having a decent day. Let's just bring it home. Not risk too much too late in the race. 5 laps to go, coming to 4.
We've spoke a lot this year about the woes as we ride on board the Soncio Chevy with Scott McLaughlin. The woes at Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. If positions remain the same, Lundgaard brings it home 7th, Graham Rahal in 11th. You've got to go back to headquarters and say, well, whatever changes we made, it seemingly worked.
Yeah, Lundgaard's done a really solid job all weekend. As his teammate here, Graham Rahal, down in 11th. Solid day. Had that penalty early on for blocking. 5th, 3rd bank on board, giving us a great shot in car of really the detail. If you look at that right front tire, the unloaded tire in turns 1 and 3, and you'll see that feathering disappear as Graham makes a front roll bar adjustment. He's got a pretty good coast phase going on, saving some gas. When did Rahal last pit? Lap 40, you know what? Just when Colton Herta pitted.
He's on the Herta program when it comes to fuel.
I don't want to be on the Herta program.
Not at the moment, no, but these 2 guys, they have fuel to burn. And Scott Dixon hunting down Pato O'Ward.
Hinch, very similar push to pass number.
Yeah, that's right. Dixon at 49, O'Ward at 55, so a 6-second gap between these 2 on push to pass. But Pato looks pretty in control. He's done a great job bouncing back from that issue in turn 1 on the start.
There you see it.
But man, Dixon getting onto the podium, that would be a heck of a story. It's already a heck of a story, but man, just the most Scott Dixon day ever. He can turn lemons into lemonade better than any driver I've ever seen in this sport.
Still got a nice toe going off O'Ward up the front straightaway. So we have Honda, Chevy, Honda, Chevy, Honda running in the top 4 as Stingray Robb off in turn 3, is it?
I think it's the carousel. It's the carousel.
Wow. That's a big off. Look at all the rocks and dirt that he just brought back onto the track.
Right on line. That's a great save, though. We saw Pato O'Ward go off there in practice this morning in warm-up. Let's have a look at it here.
Oh, boy.
Pretty late in the corner. Just keeping it off the wall.
We've talked about it all weekend. Carousel kind of works like an oval track corner this weekend with that new asphalt. You get just a little bit offline and you're chasing it right up the track. Smooth sailing Alex Palou in his own little world up front. So is Joseph Newgarden. But these 2, O'Ward and Dixon, might have some fireworks before this thing is over.
Both championship contenders too, by the way. Pato O'Ward is in 4th and Dixon is... They are both tied on the same amount of points.
You want a little extra motivation if you're Scott Dixon? Think back to Long Beach.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But Scott Dixon doesn't make those kind of moves. He knows that the days when you can bring home
doesn't forget. Take a look at this. If you weren't watching, forget, don't you worry. I'll find my chance somewhere down the line, down the schedule.
And the reason he said that is because Pato O'Ward said, I'm not apologizing for that. And Dixon said, well, if that's the way you want to race, we'll race that way. 2 laps to go, Kevo, we're almost home.
Cover from a major crash yesterday. That is a backup car. And also, let's not forget his teammate Alex Palou had heavy contact yesterday as well. So Chip Ganassi Racing rebuilt his from practice yesterday. Final corner.
To stay in that focus zone so effectively and seemingly so comfortably as he now boasts a 5+ second lead.
I was just going to say, we've seen every time he wins a race, he wins it by a country mile. He only took the lead of this race, what, with 10 to go? And look at the gap he's already pulled out. Without all the yellows at the end of Detroit, we would have seen a massive gap there. The gap to victory in Indy GP was large. You think back to Laguna last year. When he gets out front, he puts his head down and has really, truly separated himself from one of the most impressive grids of IndyCar drivers we've ever seen.
All right, there's the white flag. 4 miles to go for the American Legion Honda of Alex Palou.
There's Newgarden. O'Ward and Dixon just seems to be pressing pretty hard.
To pass just then up the front straight, and he's going to. This is 3. Get ready for the big downhill run.
Get close enough through those medium speed corners. This looks like another good run, James.
These tires are long in their life. Both drivers are going to be all over the push to pass button.
O'Ward still pretty conservative on that, so they've got plenty in the bank, but they're running out of points on the track to capitalize on it.
They probably can't just drain it all because they're still needing a little bit of saving as we see the number 11 Marcus Armstrong off in the carousel.
And that's about where Dixon and O'Ward are approaching as they finish this lap. After this corner, they're entering the carousel. It looks like Armstrong was just getting going again. There comes Palou. Oh boy, Armstrong's not in a great spot right there. Whoa! Right at the entrance of the kink with his teammate in the lead. That was close.
That's going to be talked about in the Monday morning meeting, no doubt.
You bet.
But Palou got away with it.
Well, you see on this car, with the American Legion, it says, be the one. Be the one to ask, are you okay? It's to help veteran suicide prevention. Well, to use those very words, Alex Palou is the one. He is the one in this 2023 IndyCar season. He is the one here at Road America. And Alex Palou wins again. Back-to-back races. He wins the Soncio Grand Prix.
Woo! Thank you, boys. Thank you for those pit stops. Yeah! Yes!
Chip Ganassi celebrates on the pit box. And his man is just dominant this season. 3 wins on the year. There's going to be fried chicken for everybody tonight for Alex Palou. That's his post-race win tradition. He said, I had to get somewhere at the Detroit airport when I was flying to France. He said, but I found a place that had fried chicken, and he's going to find a place here tonight, either in Elkhart Lake or where is he off to.
There you see the rest of the top 10 results. How about Kyle Kirkwood fighting his way all the way back up to 9th? I think Alexander Rossi will be disappointed to come home 10th. But for this guy, he is the one. He was the one.
How about Colton Herter, 5th?
Almost lost 5th to Marcus Ericsson down the stretch. Just narrowly kept his Gainbridge Honda ahead of the Husky Chocolates driver, Marcus Ericsson.
That'll be a tough one. Ericsson slides up alongside Alex Palou. Chip Ganassi Racing. Alex Palou. He's done it again. He extends his championship lead. It's his 2nd win at this track, and he did it seemingly comfortably. Here comes the boss to say hello. Our Kevin Lee is there. Hey, Kev, it's time to say hello, Palou, yet again.
Win number 7 for Alex Palou. The boss, Chip Ganassi, is there to greet him in victory lane. You guys talked about Be the One, the program with the American Legion, and what a role this young Spaniard is on. 3 of the last 4, and the one he didn't win was the Indianapolis 500 when he, through no fault of his own, had to charge from the back and got it up to 4th. The championship lead is as big as it's been in 3+ years. 74 points is the current margin for Alex Palou over his teammate Marcus Ericsson, climbing out to celebrate at Road America, America's National Park of Speed. welcomes Alex Palou to victory lane for the second time here in Wisconsin. And the 10 crew will get to greet their young superstar first. And we'll greet him at the end of the line. Alex. There's Ricky Davis, longtime crew chief, team manager. We have marveled at your perseverance through whatever the situation is. And in this case, it was a crash in practice to come back with a car that you really hadn't driven. How did you survive this weekend and get it back to victory lane?
It's been an amazing weekend, honestly. We started with a lot of speed. Big mistake by my part in practice too, but it was amazing. They had only an hour and a half to rebuild all the car. We went back on track and it was even better than on practice too. So I'm super happy. They gave me the pit stop that gave us the win as well. So yeah, cannot thank them enough. It was an amazing day for the number 10 American Legion Ganassi car, and we're going to keep it going.
I'm going to give you another chance to credit the team. There's Barry Wanzer, one of the team managers and the strategist. So you mentioned the quick pit stops. They not only had to repair your car, they had to prepare a backup for Scott Dixon. What do you make of what this team was able to do to get both of you guys up at the front? And Marcus wasn't too far behind Ericsson either.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Yesterday, honestly, it was a tough day for the team. They had to, as you said, rebuild not only my car but also Scott's one. We made it back on time for qualifying, and not only on time, but we were able to fight for qualifying. So amazing. As I said, we're gonna try and keep it rolling. We have an amazing team behind. So
Colton Herta had a pretty big gap. Did you know that he was a lap shorter on fuel? And take us through this last opportunity when you did get him for what turned out to be the winning pass.
Yeah, honestly, he was really quick on the first couple of laps on the blacks, and I thought I was not going to catch him. But anyway, I knew our tires were a bit slower on getting up to temperature, so we kept on pushing, kept on putting some pressure, and we finally made it happen.
You won a championship in your first year with the team. You were in the mix last year, but there was a lot going on. How much should the rest of the field look out this year, considering you're in your happy place, everything is good, you're focusing on what you need to focus on? How strongly do you feel that the championship is yours at this point?
Nothing, 0%, man. Honestly, it's IndyCar. Yeah, we had really good results so far. We are good on points so far, but IndyCar, you never know. You go to Mid-Ohio and you struggle on pace and somebody gets a roll, and yeah, they can have 3 or 4 wins in a row. So we're going to keep on focus. Each race, Mid-Ohio next, and cannot wait for it.
Congratulations. Enjoy a weekend off.
I will. Thank you.
Alex Palou in victory lane with Chip Ganassi Racing and Honda at Road America. Dylan.
Colton.